Hatred's become a job. I had true hatred with Venture. I didn't have to fake it. That sweet loathing just poured out of me whenever I saw his pathetic face. I just wanted to kick his ass. I wanted to build a machine to kick his ass. I wanted to build an empire to house the machine to kick his ass.
And by God, let's go take a dump in his pool!
Tears of a Sea Cow is the 8th episode of Season 3. It first aired on July 20th, 2008, and was written by Doc Hammer. In it, Hank, Dean, and Dermot have the compound to themselves, while Brock and Dr. Venture are away attending the Science Now convention. Meanwhile, the Monarch misses arching Dr. Venture and decides to screw with him behind his wife and the Guild's back. The episode immediately starts out with a reference to the Styx music video for Mr. Roboto, and sure enough, Dr. Dugong's robot is a pretty close match for the robot in the video. The Monarch asks Dr. Dugong,
"How much thalidomide did your mom take?"
There have been a few references I didn't explain because when you actually talk about them in a matter-of-fact way, they are suddenly super not funny. If you care to Google thalidomide and bum yourself out, have at it. Jackson says in the audio commentary that he didn't really get right away that Dean asking Helper to disable all accessible audio functions is what silenced Helper, the alarms, the radio, and Brock and Dr. Venture's watches. I didn't get it either on my first couple watch-throughs, so for anyone still confused, that's what's going on in this episode. The scene in which the Monarch uses reverse psychology to prevent Dean from telling his dad that he saw him is kind of a Star Wars reference, kind of not. Jackson and Doc talk about it on the commentary.
Last year,
how do we not talk about this?
We made a big
this is on.
We made a big bet that we would cut our hair into the style that we had in our 8th grade photo if we made another Star Wars reference. And this, if I made one, is my blunder. I think, and I might be saying this just because I don't like losing, but I think this is based on an archetype much larger than Star Wars, an archetype that Star Wars draws upon. But yes, I can see it being a reference to knowing the film Star Wars.
After Hank is convinced he's immortal, he quotes the song "Gimme the Prize" by Queen from the Highlander soundtrack.
Give me the prize! I am the one!
Give me the prize! Just give me the prize! I am the one, the only one!
The post-credits sequence actually leads into the episode after the next episode, which has caused a bit of confusion. I think the 2 weeks later title card was an attempt to clear up that confusion. In other words, Now Museum, Now You Don't takes place during that 2-week span. This episode has a bunch of firsts. This is the first appearance of Dr. Dugong and his last for 9 years and 11 months if you watched the show when it originally aired. This episode is the first time we see Dean in a blue speed suit, which will become the mandatory Venture uniform next season. We've also got the first appearance of the Pupa Twins costumes. We also have the first appearance of Shallow Gravy, who at this time haven't actually settled on the name Shallow Gravy yet. And maybe the most important first appearance of all goes to Dean's stuffed giraffe, Mr. Ricci. Dean's newspaper, the Venture Home News, was first referenced back in Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
Frith, help us. Play it cool, Dino. You step to them with that line and they're gonna think you're some crazy, obsessed weirdo stalker who, draws pictures of them in your notebook.
They're for the Venture Home News. The pictures increase circulation.
21 writing into the Venture Home News using the pseudonym G. Viceroy is a callback to his fantasy to strike out on his own, first mentioned in Powerless in the Face of Death.
I even have the Monarch's crown someplace. I could call myself the Viceroy.
And the mere fact that he has feelings for Dr. Girlfriend at all is a callback to I Know Why the Caged Bird Kills, officially taking an offhanded comment and making it hard canon.
Yeah, I'm totally falling for her.
When the Monarch crew first enter Venture property, they believe they must be near a septic tank due to the smell. The smell is actually the result of the missile spilling raw sewage last week, and what goes down must come up. The robot that the Monarch finds in Dr. Venture's lab is Gardo, first introduced in Season 1's Home Insecurity. The Monarch points out that Gardo is being rebuilt, calling back the Season 1 finale when Jonas Venture Jr. dismantled Gardo to use him for parts. 21 states that he's seen Hank die twice. We've seen one of those times, again calling back the Season 1 finale. The other we haven't, but there are several Hank and Dean deaths that we know nothing about. This is another episode that isn't my favorite of the season, but I don't think it's particularly bad either. I've previously mentioned that I'm not the biggest Dermot fan, and this episode officially elevated him from quirky one-off character to recurring character. It's cool to see Hank and Dean, and Dermot, just kind of hanging out being kids. I've always really disliked the Monarch fucking Gardo, though. It always felt too over the top, but maybe I'm the weird one for never hating someone so much that I want to fuck their robot. Something that I do really like is that this episode is pretty much devoid of Brock and Doc. So many shows would feel an obligation to include their core cast of characters, and Venture Brothers more and more as the seasons go on does not feel that obligation, choosing instead to just tell good stories regardless of which characters they include. I love that about the Venture Brothers, and I love the Venture Brothers. As always, thank you for watching, and go Team Venture. Tune in next week for Now Museum, Now You Don't. If you dug this video, share it with a friend, and if there was some huge glaring thing that I missed in this video, follow me on Instagram @Ventureverse Guide to see these videos a week early and offer your input before I upload the final product.